You want real change, right? Better health, more discipline, laser focus. You start out super strong, but a few weeks later, you're right back to the same old patterns. So why does this happen? Well, it's because you've been fighting your habits with willpower alone, not with a smart system that actually works with your brain. Today, we're diving into the psychological system from James Clear's Atomic Habits to finally make those good habits stick and make the bad ones, well, just fade away.
So let's talk about that cycle. You want to get healthier. You want to be more productive. You hit the gym. You start saving money. You promise yourself, okay, this is the time it's going to stick. But before you know it, you're right back where you started. It's an incredibly frustrating and, honestly, super common loop to be stuck in. And this is the most important thing you need to hear. The problem isn't you. It's not a lack of motivation or willpower. The problem is the system you're using. You've been trying to force change instead of designing a system for it. Most people quit right before their efforts start to pay off. So let's get into exactly why that happens and the system that's going to push you right through it.
Okay, so the core reason our best intentions just seem to fizzle out, it all comes down to this fundamental mismatch, a misalignment between the effort something takes and the reward you get for it. Our brains are hardwired to notice this, and it makes all the difference between a habit that sticks and one that just doesn't.
Think about it like this. With bad habits, the reward is immediate, right? The pleasure from that junk food, the distraction of scrolling your phone, it feels good now. The real cost, though, that comes much later. But with good habits, it's the total opposite. The cost is right now, the effort of the workout, the focus it takes to do deep work, but the reward is way off in the future. And that delay, that's the psychological trap that gets almost everyone.
And this leads us to what feels like a giant psychological wall that makes so many of us give up. James Clear has a name for it. He calls it the Plateau of Latent Potential. It's that period where it feels like absolutely nothing is working, even though under the surface, everything is changing.
Here's the brutal truth that most people just never realize. Progress is not a straight line. We expect our effort and our results to go up together, nice and steady, but in reality, there's this long, flat period where it seems like nothing visible is happening. And that gap between what we expect and what's really going on creates what's called the valley of disappointment. You just feel like all your effort is for nothing, so you quit.
So you have to remember this, that flat line isn't failure. That is the plateau of latent potential. Every one of your daily actions is storing up energy. Your body, your mind, they're adapting. The breakthrough just hasn't shown up yet. Your work is never, ever wasted. It's just being stored.
This is the perfect way to picture it. Imagine an ice cube in a freezing cold room. You slowly start raising the temperature from -10 degrees to -5 to -1. On the outside, nothing looks different. The ice is still just ice. But then you hit 0 degrees and bam, the cube starts to melt. That final degree didn't do all the work. It just revealed all the invisible progress that came before it. Most people give up at -1 degree. The winners, they just keep going until that breakthrough moment.
So okay, if we know progress takes a while, how in the world do we stick with it long enough to see results? Well, this is where we make a huge shift in our thinking. We stop focusing on temporary goals and start focusing on something way more powerful, our identity. You see, lasting change doesn't come from what you want to achieve, it comes from who you believe you are.
Just look at this comparison. A goal, like I want to write a book, is an outcome. It's finite. Once you do it, or if you don't, the motivation just vanishes. But an identity, saying I am a writer, well, that's a statement about who you are. It's not about an endpoint. It's about your very being. Runners run. Readers read. The action becomes a completely natural part of who you are.
This quote right here is the absolute key to building that new identity. Every single time you lace up your running shoes, you are casting a vote for the identity, I am a runner. Every time you write just one sentence, you're casting a vote for I am a writer. These tiny wins are the evidence you're using to build a powerful new belief in yourself. And when that happens, change stops feeling forced. It just becomes who you naturally are.
All right, so if identity is the who, we still need a practical system for the how. How do we actually cast those votes day in and day out? This brings us to the 4 laws of behavior change. It's a simple, super practical playbook for rewiring your brain.
These are the 4 levers you get to pull to build any good habit you want. The whole goal is to design a system where doing the right thing becomes the path of least resistance. Let's see how each one works.
First up, make it obvious. You want to design your environment so the cue is just staring you in the face. Put your running shoes right by the door so you can't miss them. Next, make it attractive.
Pair the new habit with something you already love, like only letting yourself listen to your favorite podcast when you're out for a walk. Third, make it easy. You have to lower the friction. Start with a tiny 2-minute version of the habit. Just meditate for 2 minutes. Your brain loves an easy win. And finally, make it satisfying. Your brain needs that immediate reward. So track your streak on a calendar. Just seeing that little check mark gives you a tiny hit of dopamine that tells your brain, hey, do that again.
Now, what's so brilliant about this system is that it works perfectly in reverse. To get rid of the bad habits that are holding you back, you don't need more willpower. You just have to flip the 4 laws on their head.
So to break a bad habit, you just invert the laws. You make the cue invisible. Hide the junk food where you can't see it. You make the craving unattractive. Actively remind yourself of the negative side effects. You make the action difficult. Add some friction, like unplugging the TV and putting the remote in another room after you use it. And you make the reward unsatisfying. Maybe get an accountability partner who you have to report to. See, it all comes back to that first principle. Flip the balance of reward and cost, and your behavior will naturally follow.
So the big takeaway here isn't about some massive, overnight transformation. It's really about the incredible, mind-blowing power of getting just 1% better every single day, and then letting the magic of compounding do the heavy lifting for you. Think about it, a single 1% improvement. You'd barely even notice it, but do that every single day for a year, you end up almost 37 times better than when you started. That's not addition, that's multiplication. Time just magnifies the tiny margin between success and failure. Those small changes, repeated daily, will literally reshape who you are. And look, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this quote. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Your goals give you a direction, but it's your systems that actually get you there. So start today. Pick one habit, make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Cast one small vote for the person you want to become. So the question I really want to leave you with is this. Which habit are you going to commit to building or breaking starting right now? That breakthrough moment is coming. Just don't quit at -1 degree.